Hiya! I was going to do a live video of this makeup look on my Instagram, but I figured there's too much room for error in a live video, so I decided just to film a wee video and put it together, and hopefully it'll be okay. I'm not very comfortable in front of the camera, obviously, but yeah, hopefully it's easy enough to follow. This is actually quite a simple eye look. It's just a nice warm toned half cut crease with big ass lashes, and yeah, it's not overly complicated. There's not even eyeliner or anything, so it should be easy enough to follow. But yes, please just watch to see how I did this. Starting off with the eyebrows, I'm just going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Pomade. This is in the shade Medium Brown, and I'm just applying this with a small angled brush. This brush is also from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's really good. It's got a spoolie on one end, so I like to use a spoolie and just brush it through and just distribute the product, and also to try and tame my wild brow hairs a wee bit. Just the same on the other brow. You don't have to do your brows as dark or bold as I do mine, but I really like that bold eyebrow look, and I think it works well if you're doing a sort of bright eyeshadow look like what I'm going to be doing. And then I'm going in with my MAC Select Cover Up Concealer, and I'm going to use this as an eyeshadow base and to carve out my brows. So I just stick it on the back of my hand, and I'm using a flat concealer brush. This is a MAC 242 brush, and I'm just carving out the brow, making that line look nice and sharp, and I'm just going to take this down onto my lid as well. This just acts as an eye primer, so it just gets rid of any discoloration and creates a nice blank canvas for the eyeshadows. Just going to buff this out a bit with a wee buffer brush just to make sure that the concealer doesn't look too cakey and thick. I'm setting this with the RCMA No Colour powder, which is just a really good translucent powder. I love this. I use it in my kit all the time as well, but you can use any translucent powder. And I'm just applying that with a little fluffy brush, and that's just going to set the concealer and make sure it doesn't crease. Back in with the MAC Select Cover Up just to carve out that top part of the eyebrow and make it look nice and sharp. Same again on the other eye. I actually made a wee mistake there and got a wee bit of concealer in my brow hairs, so I just went back in with the pomade and corrected that. So don't worry if you do that, you just can fix that and just go back in with your pomade. Nobody's perfect. Oh, I don't know why I did that. I looked like The Rock. So I'm just using my Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm going in with this brown transition shade, and I'm just popping that into the crease with a fluffy eyeshadow brush. I think that's a Zoeva 228 brush. Just using this as the transition shade. Using this orangey red colour from the palette, I'm just popping this into my crease now. I'm using a MAC 217 brush, but just any fluffy blending brush will do. So just pop it into the crease and onto the outer part of the eye as well. I also like to use a clean blending brush, like a slightly bigger blending brush, and I just like to blend the edges with that. So that was me just blending out the edges with the larger brush, and that's without any product on it. That's just blending out whatever's already there, and then I'm just going back in with my smaller fluffy blending brush and packing some more product in. I just want it to look really bold and vibrant, but you also want to keep it nice and blended so it doesn't look patchy. Using the dark brown shade from the same palette, I'm just going to pop this onto the outer third of my eye, and I'm just using a slightly smaller eyeshadow brush again. Just the darker you get with your colours, the smaller the brush you want to use basically, because you don't want to go in with a big fluffy brush full of a dark colour and just get it all over the place. So just be quite careful with your placement, but you basically want to keep this on the outer third of your eye and then blend this again with the previous brush that you used for the red eyeshadow and just blend it out. Now for the cut crease, I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, and this is in the shade Light. I don't really use this as an actual concealer because it's a wee bit thick for me. I just don't like the consistency on my own skin, but I love using this for cut creases because it's very opaque. So I just use this on a tiny little angled brush, and you're basically wanting to trace your crease of your eyelid. I like to go over the crease a wee bit just to make it a wee bit more dramatic, but you're basically just tracing your crease and then packing that concealer on, and then just till the outer third of your eye and then stop, and then I like to blend the concealer into the shadow using a small clean eyeshadow brush. Same on the other eye, just tracing the shape of your crease with the concealer and just packing it on, making a nice opaque base. It's not the easiest thing to do, I'm not gonna lie. If you make a mistake, you can easily fix it, but yeah, it's a bit of a pain, but it's worth it because it looks good in the end, I promise. Just packing it on and then blending that outer edge into the eyeshadow. I'm taking this nice light champagne colour from the same palette and I'm just packing this onto wherever I put the concealer before, so just packing it over the cut crease and just blend that again into the outer third. I just popped a wee bit on with my finger there because with your shimmer eyeshadows they do tend to go on a lot more vibrantly if you use your finger, so I used the brush just to pop it all on and then I added an extra wee bit with my finger just to make it a wee bit more vibrant. Just tidy up any bits that you think need tidied up until you're happy with it. Just ignore this bit, I did this in a bit of a weird order, so I'm going to explain what I'm doing here in a wee second. I'm not used to filming myself doing makeup, clearly. So what I'm doing is going back in with that bright red shade and just blending that into the cut crease slightly and using a clean fluffy brush just to make sure that blends perfect, and then I'm going in with the darker brown shade just on the very outer corner of the eye again and just blending it all in together. It just makes a nice gradient. Then I'm taking the dark brown shade underneath my eye and then blending that out with the red shade. Then I'm going to go back in with a clean brush and just blend all the very outer edges of the eyeshadow just to make sure it looks nice and blown out and there's no patchiness or harsh lines. Blend, blend, blend. There's a lot of blending in this look, but it's worth it. Just using that champagne coloured eyeshadow again to highlight my inner corner, and I'm just using a tiny wee concealer brush to do that. This shade is so nice, it really, really is a bright, blinding highlight shade. Now I'm going in with my Maybelline Colossal Big Shot Mascara. I've used this for years. It's a brilliant mascara. I really don't think you need to buy super expensive mascaras because this one's like £9 and it's just as good as an Estee Lauder or a MAC mascara. It's really good. Just applying that to the upper and lower lashes. Oh, here's a wee trick. I just got some mascara on my under eye, so if you just leave it a few minutes till it's completely dry, and then you can just wipe it away lightly with a clean spoolie so it doesn't smudge at all. That's a wee tip for you. Now I'm going in with my NYX Control Freak eyebrow gel. This is a clear eyebrow gel. I love this. Again, I use this in my kit all the time. I think it's brilliant. Just sets your eyebrows in place, and I use it to brush up the innermost brows just to make them look a wee bit more hairy and just touching up that concealer a wee bit so it's all perfect. So I'm just going to move on to the face makeup. For primer I'm just using the MAC Strobe cream. This is in the shade Pinklite, which is the original MAC Strobe cream shade. I really like this for a primer. It's nice and hydrating. It's kind of more like a moisturiser, but I just use this all over my face except for my T-zone because I get kind of an oily T-zone, and this primer's got like a sheen through it, so I don't want to make that area any shinier than it needs to be, if you know what I mean. So for my T-zone I'm going to use the Laura Mercier oil-free primer. I think her primers are brilliant. They're really, really good. So just popping that onto my nose and my forehead. For foundation, I'm using the Bobbi Brown Stick Foundation. I kind of forgot how pigmented this is and I put loads of it on, so you don't need to put this much, but to be honest, I like a fuller coverage foundation anyway, so yeah, I don't mind. Just buffing this in with a Zoeva buffing brush. And round my eyes and eyebrows, I'm just going to use a smaller buffing brush just to make sure I don't go over that accidentally with my big brush and ruin all my hard work that I've just done. For concealer, I'm using the Maybelline Eye Eraser. I don't know if that's actually what it's called. It's just a really good concealer, just buy it. It's like super cheap, you get it in Boots. I use this in a slightly lighter shade than my foundation just to sort of highlight the under eye area and the forehead where I'm putting it. I'm also putting a wee bit around my nose just because I get a wee bit of redness there. Just going to set this a wee bit with the NARS pressed powder. I think it's called Crystal, and I'm just popping this on with a little brush from Real Techniques, and I'm putting that under my eyes and onto my forehead where I get a wee bit oily, and just round my mouth as well, just so there's no creasing. This is the NARS bronzer in Laguna. I love this bronzer, I've used it for years and I use it in my kit as well. It's so good. I think it works on a lot of skin tones too, so it's a good one to have if you're a makeup artist. I don't know if I'd really call this contouring, just a sort of light contour and bronze, general bronze of the face, and I'm just using a small Real Techniques brush, and then I'm going to go back in with a big fluffy MAC brush and just add a wee bit more bronzer, just to make sure it's all nice and blended. For blush, I'm using my MAC blush. Oh my god, this packaging is a mess. It's because I absolutely love this blush and I always have it in my makeup bag. I use this pretty much every day. It's called Margin by MAC and it's just a really nice sort of warm, corally toned blush, and it's got a wee bit of shimmer through it. I love it. And for highlighter, I'm going to use this Primark highlighter, which is amazing. I couldn't believe how good this was. It's so pigmented, it's crazy. I've actually been using this loads. Look how shiny it is. I've been using it loads instead of my MAC highlighter, which I usually use. I usually use Soft and Gentle by MAC, which I know a lot of people love, but this is the same sort of colour but more blinding and more pigmented. It's so good, and it was only £2.50. Just popping it onto my cheekbones, a wee bit on my nose, and also giving myself a silver moustache. Fix my nose ring. Add a wee bit of the highlight into my inner corner because you can never have enough highlight in your inner corner. And this is a KIKO lip liner, KIKO Milano. They're a brilliant company. This lip liner is like £2.50 as well. It's so cheap and they're just as good, if not better, than the MAC lip liners. I think this is the shade Soft Brown. Only thing is they're kind of hard to get hold of. The shipping takes quite a wee while because they do come from Milan. And then this is a MAC lipstick. This is called Age Sex Location. Unfortunately it was a limited edition shade, so when I run out I'm going to be really sad because it's my favourite sort of nudie, cool tone nude by MAC, but I just need to try and find a dupe for it. And then just finishing everything off with a bit of MAC's Fix Plus. Spray, spray, spray. Dry, dry, dry. And that's it. Wee close up on my eyeballs. Really awkward. And that's the look.